The sun hung high over Cottonwood Falls, Wyoming, bleeding white into a sky too blue to look at for long. Dust shimmered on the road like heat rising off an old stovetop. The town had gathered for Founders' Day, a tradition older than most of its buildings. It was Derby Day, and for folks here, that meant more than just a race. It was status, bragging rights, a measure of who belonged and who didn't. Noah Grayson stood quietly near the edge of the crowd, arms folded, his 7-year-old daughter Lily beside him. She held his weathered hand tightly. Her dark hair was braided down her back, her eyes scanning the loud, festive chaos before them. Her pink sneakers scuffed at the toes. She didn't speak. She rarely did unless she needed to. Noah's jaw was set hard, his back still held with the posture of a Marine, though the weight of the years and war dragged at his shoulders. His jeans were faded, and the collar of his canvas jacket frayed at the edges. His boots, cracked and dusty, had walked through both combat and grief. Brock Vance made his entrance like a prize bull. Crisp, white shirt tucked into dark denim, silver belt buckle catching the sun. His voice, deep and practiced, carried easily across the crowd. "Folks," he called, raising a hand like a showman, "we've got a special moment here, a tribute, really." Noah felt the attention swing toward him. He didn't move. "You all know Noah Grayson," Brock continued, smiling like a man who didn't smile unless it served him. Marine veteran, served his country, lost his wife to cancer just last year. Raising his little girl all on his own, tough break. Noah's stomach knotted. He didn't like being made a spectacle of. Neither did Lily, whose hand tightened in his. "So, in honor of his service," Brock went on, "I want to offer him a gift." There was a beat of silence. Then came the sound of hooves. Everyone turned. A ranch hand led forward a mare, or rather, what was left of one. Her coat, once a pale gold, was now caked in dirt and patchy with mange. Her ribs stuck out like fence slats. Her left foreleg buckled slightly every few steps, favoring it with a limp that looked permanent. There was a collective gasp, and then laughter. The mare's lead was handed to Brock, who grinned and turned to Noah. "This here's Willow," he said, the name practically dripping with irony. "Figured you could use some company, might even make it halfway around the track." More laughter. Jeers. Someone shouted, "She's in worse shape than your truck, Grayson." Noah's expression didn't change. He handed Lily's hand gently back to her side and stepped forward. The crowd quieted, sensing something was off script. He approached the mare slowly, hand outstretched, palm open. She didn't flinch, didn't even raise her head. Her eyes were dull, but not dead. Noah placed a hand on her neck, felt the tremble of her breath. The mare turned slightly, just enough to meet his gaze, and then she blinked. Not out of fear, recognition, a broken thing seeing another. Noah looked up, his voice level. "Her name's Willow?" Brock chuckled. "That's what we're calling her today. Tomorrow, who knows?" "She's not a joke," Noah said softly, almost to himself. "Oh, come on," Brock said, still laughing. "Lighten up. It's Founders' Day, traditions and all." But Noah wasn't listening anymore. He was looking at Willow, really looking. There was something beneath the grime, something proud, hurt, but proud. He took the lead rope from Brock without another word. From the other side of the crowd, Autumn Vance stood beneath the old bleachers, her arms crossed tight. She hadn't been involved in her father's stunt, but now she was watching with a sinking feeling. The mare's walk, the curve of her neck, it stirred something in her chest. That horse, it couldn't be. But deep down she knew. It was her mother's mare, the one that had gone missing after the car crash years ago. The one her father said must have run off into the wild. Her name wasn't Willow, it was Hope. Autumn's throat tightened, but she said nothing. Not yet. The walk home was long, and the wind picked up as the sun dipped. Willow limped beside them, each step a quiet struggle. Noah kept his pace slow, adjusting to match her. Lily walked on the other side, hand gently resting on Willow's flank. "Why'd he do that to you?" Lily asked suddenly. Noah didn't answer right away. "I think he wanted folks to laugh at us," he said. "At her, maybe even at you. Why? Because people like Brock don't understand things that are broken. They think broken means worthless." Lily looked up at him. "But we're not worthless, right?" He looked down and gave the faintest smile. "Not even close." They reached their trailer just as twilight settled in. The structure sagged under years of wind and Wyoming winters. A single porch light flickered to life. "I'll build her a shelter," Noah said. "Might be scrap wood, but we'll make it work. I can help." "I know you can, kiddo." Lily went inside to grab the fleece blanket from her bed. It was worn. Stars faded almost white. She handed it to her dad. She should sleep warm. Willow, now untied, stood close to the porch. She didn't try to wander. She simply lowered herself carefully into the dirt and sighed. That night, after Lily had gone to bed, Noah sat on the steps with a coffee cup full of tap water, staring out into the night. "I made a promise, Grace," he whispered into the darkness. "I'd raise Lily right. I'd never let her feel like she was a burden, or like we gave up." The wind rustled the dry sycamore leaves overhead. Willow stirred in the dirt, her head turning slightly toward him. The movement was subtle, but Noah saw it. "You and me," he said. "We're not done yet." The mare didn't answer, but she didn't look away either. And in that silence, in the dirt, under a Wyoming sky, a broken man, a bruised girl, and a battered horse took their first step toward something neither of them had dared to believe in for a long, long time. A second chance. Morning light spilled over the foothills, casting long golden fingers across the worn-out trailer. Frost clung to the grass like a stubborn memory, refusing to let go. Noah stepped outside, coffee in hand, his back still stiff from sleeping on the couch again. He wasn't sure if it was habit or punishment. Willow lay in the makeshift lean-to he'd hammered together from busted fence boards and an old metal road sign that still read Cottonwood Junction, 3 miles. Lily had painted blue stars on the boards the night before, her small fingers careful and precise. She said it made it feel less like a cage. The mare blinked slowly at Noah, her breath steaming in the cold. She hadn't moved much overnight, but she hadn't given up either. "You're still here," Noah murmured, stepping closer. "Guess we both are." He poured half his coffee into a chipped bowl and mixed in oats from Lily's breakfast stash. Willow didn't flinch when he approached. She sniffed the bowl, then took a bite. Slow. Hesitant. But it was a start. Inside, Lily watched from the window, chin resting on the sill. She whispered, "She's trying, Daddy." He turned his head and nodded. "So are we." That afternoon, an old red pickup growled its way down the gravel drive. It coughed smoke as it parked crookedly near the trailer. A man climbed out, 6 feet of denim, dust, and mischief. Tommy Rourke. "Damn," he said, looking at the shelter. "This what you've been doing with your afternoons. I thought you were dodging my calls 'cause you were depressed. Turns out you're just playing cowboy." Noah smirked and walked up. They clapped hands and pulled each other into a short, rough hug. The kind soldiers exchanged when words were too soft for the memories they shared. Tommy pulled off his ball cap, scratched at his buzzed hair. "Heard some folks talking at the feed store, thought they were kidding. You really took her home?" Noah gestured to the mare. Didn't feel like a choice. Tommy whistled low as he walked around Willow. Hell, this is Vance's joke horse? She's not a joke. No, Tommy agreed, kneeling to check her hoof. She's a mess, but she's not a joke. He paused, running a hand down her leg. Tendons inflamed, might have been overworked. You see this scar? She was used for something serious. This ain't a pasture pony. She's got fight, Noah said. I saw it. Tommy straightened up. You're not crazy. You got something rare here, Noah, not trash, a fallen champion. Noah looked over at Willow, then back at Tommy. Think she'll run again? I think if she's got a reason, she just might try. That night, a knock came at the trailer door just after 10. Noah answered, tired and surprised. Autumn Vance stood on the porch, holding a brown paper bag and a bottle of ointment. I hope this isn't weird, she said softly, eyes glancing toward the shelter. I brought liniment and some herbs, stuff my mom used. Noah stepped aside. Come on in. They sat at the small kitchen table, its surface covered in crayons, unpaid bills, and Lily's sketches of horses with wings. Autumn ran her hand over one of them, lips twitching at the details. I think that mare out there is mine, she said suddenly. Noah blinked. Yours? My mom's, actually. Her name was Hope. She disappeared the night of the accident that killed her. Dad said she must have bolted, but I never believed him. Why didn't you say anything yesterday? I wasn't sure. I thought maybe I was seeing things, but when I got close, I know that horse. She used to sleep outside my window. There was a silence between them, full of shared ache. I'm sorry for what he did, she said quietly, for how he used her, for how he tried to humiliate you. Noah exhaled through his nose. People don't bother me anymore, but what he did to her, that pisses me off. Autumn nodded. I want to help, if you'll let me. And that was how it started. Small things at first. Bags of feed, salve for Willow's cracked skin, herbal tea for inflammation. She came by at night mostly, after town talk had quieted down. She fed Willow apple slices, talked to her like an old friend. And Willow listened. One evening, Autumn told Lily a story about her mother teaching Hope to run with her arms out like wings. Lily laughed just once, but it lit the trailer like Christmas. In the third week, Willow started walking to the gate on her own. She's coming back, Autumn whispered, watching through the fence. So am I, Noah said without thinking. She turned to him. What do you mean? He looked at his daughter playing in the dirt with a tin can and some sticks. I've been on autopilot since Grace died, just surviving. But this feels different. Like maybe we still have something worth fighting for. Autumn's hand brushed his for a moment, a flicker that neither of them commented on. They didn't need to. That night, Willow lay down without pain. Lily covered her with the blue blanket again, kissed her mane, and whispered, Good girl. Inside the trailer, Noah sat by the window, watching the moonlight touch the mare's back. He didn't pray. He hadn't in a long time, but he folded his hands just the same. Thank you, he murmured, for letting her live, for letting me feel something again. Out there in the cold, a battered horse lifted her head and looked toward the stars. She was no longer nobody's horse. She had a name, Willow. The flyer was simple. Bold black letters on cream paper, tacked to the bulletin board outside Dixon's Diner. Cottonwood Founders. Day, Derby, sign up, closes. Friday, prize, $5,000. Location, Whisper Ridge Loop. Noah stared at it a full minute before reaching for the pen dangling from the corner by a greasy string. He scrawled his name, and underneath wrote, Willow. People noticed. People always noticed in Cottonwood Falls. By sundown, the whispers had turned to full-blown ridicule. Grayson's lost it. He's really going to trot that half-dead mare into the Derby? He's doing it for pity points. Ain't no real cowboy. Back at the trailer, Autumn was helping Lily braid twine into a halter when Noah returned. He tossed his hat on the table and poured himself a cup of water, jaw tight. "They're laughing already," he muttered. Autumn didn't look up. Let them laugh. They did the same to my mother when she trained Hope, until the day she beat all of them. Noah didn't respond right away. He glanced toward Willow, who stood near the open field, watching the wind like it might tell her something. "Still think it's crazy?" he asked quietly. "No," Autumn said. "I think it's brave." The next morning, a black Escalade pulled up by the fence. Brock Vance stepped out, freshly shaven, wearing a pressed vest and expensive boots too clean for real work. He leaned on the gate. "Noah." Noah stayed by Willow's side, brushing her flanks. "Brock." "I heard you're planning to make a spectacle at my derby." "It's the town's derby," Noah corrected. Brock chuckled. "You're embarrassing yourself. That horse can barely walk. You want to parade your charity case around? Fine, but don't bring my daughter into it." Noah's hand stopped mid-stroke. "You mean the daughter who's been feeding and treating the horse you abandoned?" A flicker of anger crossed Brock's face, fast and sharp. "You think this will end well for you? I think if Willow makes it to that starting line, she's already won more than you'll ever understand." Brock pulled an envelope from his coat pocket and tossed it toward Noah. It landed in the dirt. $10,000 walk away, quietly. Noah didn't pick it up. He stared at the horse, then at his daughter watching from the window. "You can't buy dignity, Brock." Brock's smile faded. "You'll regret this." As the Escalade drove away, Noah bent to pick up the envelope, tore it in half, and threw the pieces into the wind. That night, the storm rolled in, cold rain, soggy ground. Willow slipped in the mud, her leg buckling. She cried out, and Noah ran, barefooted and panicked. Autumn came minutes later with towels and gauze. Willow lay shaking, nostrils flaring, eyes wild with pain. "It's flaring again," Autumn whispered, kneeling beside the mare. "The tendon can't handle the moisture." Noah stood back, fists clenched, helpless. "I shouldn't have signed us up," he muttered. "This is on me." From the doorway, Lily's voice floated out, soft but firm. Mom wouldn't quit. The words hit like thunder. They dried Willow with blankets, built a fire in a barrel outside, and sat in shifts through the night. By morning, the swelling had eased, but barely. Noah called Tommy in desperation. "I've got one shot left," Tommy said. "An old Apache remedy I learned from my granddad, no guarantees." He showed up with jars of pale green clay, crushed mint, and shredded bark soaked in vinegar. "You'll have to apply it every 2 hours," Tommy explained. "Wrap it with heat. Talk to her the whole time. She needs to hear you." Noah didn't hesitate. He built a system of alarms. Midnight, 2, 4, 6. He rubbed the mixture gently into Willow's leg, while Lily sat nearby, reading her mom's favorite book aloud, The Horse Whisperer. Her voice cracked on some of the words, but she kept going. Autumn brought fresh towels and a sleeping bag. She never said she was staying, but she never left either. At 4 a.m., Willow nuzzled Noah's chest as he dozed off mid-application. Her breath was warm, steady. She hadn't done that before. "You feeling something, girl?" he murmured, half asleep. "Yeah, me too." Days passed. Her limp remained, but the spark was undeniable. She moved toward Noah without fear. She nickered when Lily approached. When Autumn brushed her, Willow leaned into it. Autumn found a letter tucked inside her mother's old writing trunk. The handwriting was delicate, cursive, faded. "If anything happens to me, protect her. She's more than a horse. She carries our spirit." Autumn showed the letter to Noah. "This isn't just a second chance for Willow," she said. "It's one for me, too." Their eyes met, long enough for silence to say what neither dared to speak aloud. By the end of the week, Willow stood taller, still limping, but with something that looked a lot like pride. The Derby was 10 days away. The town was waiting to laugh again. But Willow had other plans. So did Noah. Morning light crept across the valley like a held breath. Cottonwood Falls stirred early, and by sunrise the whole town was buzzing. Flags lined the fences, banners fluttered over Main Street, and loudspeakers crackled to life with classic country songs. The Founders' Day Derby had arrived. Noah Grayson stood by Willow's stall, quiet, focused. He'd been up since before dawn. Her leg was still tender, but she'd taken her oats, nuzzled his chest, and let him wrap her leg in Tommy's herbal remedy without protest. She was trying, for him. Lily tiptoed barefoot into the barn, still in her sleep shirt, clutching a faded blue ribbon. "Is it okay if she wears this?" she asked. It was Mom's. She used to wear it in her hair on special days. Noah took it gently. "She'll love it." Outside, the voices grew louder, hoots, laughter, music. But in the barn, time slowed. He braided the ribbon into Willow's mane with fingers steadier than he'd known he still had. "Today's not about them," he whispered. "It's about showing up. Just like we promised." They walked together toward town. Autumn Vance waited at the gate with a bag of clean wraps and a bottle of salve. She touched Willow's nose and smiled. "Let's show them what quiet strength looks like." Noah looked up at her, the early light warming her features. "You sure you want to be seen helping me?" "My father's the one who should be ashamed, not me." The parade of competitors was already gathering near the track, a broad oval that carved its way along the edge of town, turning once near the riverbank before looping around the church. The crowd fell silent when Noah led Willow through the gate. A murmur, then laughter. "You lost, Grayson? The petting zoo's that way. Don't trip over her ribs." Brock Vance stood near the announcer's booth, arms folded, grinning like a man who thought he'd already won. Noah said nothing. He helped Lily up onto Autumn's lap in the bleachers, kissed her forehead, then walked to the start line. "She's limping again," someone muttered. "She won't make it past the first bend," said another. Noah adjusted the reins gently, looked Willow in the eye. "It's just us now. One breath, one step. Don't worry about the rest." The horn sounded. The race began. The other riders exploded off the line. Thundering hooves, flying dirt, adrenaline and power. Noah let them go. He walked Willow across the line. She limped, but she didn't hesitate. The crowd jeered again. But he tuned it out. 10 yards in, her limp evened out. She stretched her neck, ears perked. Her legs moved in rhythm, not flawless, not fast, but forward. "Atta girl," Noah whispered. They rounded the first turn, and Willow began to trot. It wasn't pretty, but it was steady. The dust swirled behind the others, a cloud of speed and pride. Willow moved through it like fog, unbothered. Halfway through the loop, as they approached the church bend, Noah felt her hesitate. This was where Eleanor Vance, Autumn's mother, used to ride, the place Willow had once shone brightest. She stopped. The crowd went quiet. Noah held his breath. Willow turned her head, as if searching for something in the wind. Then, slowly, she stepped forward. One stride, then another, then a surge, a gallop. "No way," someone gasped. She's running." The crowd leaned forward. Autumn stood, breath caught in her chest. Tommy, near the fence, hollered, "Yeah, girl, run!" Willow flew down the straightaway, her hooves pounding rhythmically, her mane catching the wind. The blue ribbon streamed like a banner of defiance. She passed the last place horse, then another. The leader, Texas Gold, was still ahead by a dozen lengths, but Noah felt something shifting. Willow wasn't just running, she was remembering, not the pain, the power. The final turn came. Texas Gold surged, so did Willow. It wasn't about winning anymore, it was about proving she could. Noah leaned forward, not to push, but to join her, like a whisper on her back. "Let's go home." They closed the gap. 50 meters. 30. 10. The crowd rose as one. They crossed together. The line judges stared, then raised the checkered flag. "Willow Grayson, first place." The cheers drowned the doubts. People who had mocked moments ago were now clapping, shouting, hugging. Lily cried into Autumn's chest, but Willow stumbled. Noah was off in a heartbeat, catching her side, holding her up. She trembled but stayed standing. Tommy pushed through the fence and checked the leg. "Swollen," he muttered, but not torn. She pushed it, hard, but she knew her limit. Noah pressed his forehead to hers. "You chose to keep going, that's all I'll ever ask." A slow clapping sound echoed across the track. Brock Vance. He walked forward, removed his hat. "Didn't think you'd actually pull that off," he said. Noah didn't respond. "I was wrong," Brock said. "Dead wrong, and if you're willing, I'd like you to come on board, train some of my horses, show my people what I clearly forgot." Noah looked at Willow, then back to Lily and Autumn. "I'm not in the business of breaking horses anymore," he said. "I'm in the business of healing." Brock nodded, humbled. "Then maybe that's what we need." As the crowd dispersed and dusk approached, Noah walked Willow home. Lily rode on Autumn's shoulders, waving at every passerby like a princess. They reached their little trailer. Willow, though tired, stood tall. Autumn turned to Noah. "You think she knew she'd win?" "I think she knew it didn't matter," he said. Showing up was enough. They stood in silence as the wind moved through the pines. Behind them, the town had changed. And maybe they had too. The snow melted early that spring in Cottonwood Falls, and with it, the last traces of the town's doubt seemed to vanish too. What happened on Derby Day hadn't just changed a man and his horse. It had stirred something in the bones of a place long used to pride without purpose. The first calls came the following week. A local teacher wanted to bring a student struggling with anxiety. A therapist asked if the horse, was still around. An old rancher who hadn't left his porch in a decade asked if he could just sit near the paddock. Noah Grayson didn't know what to call it back then, but now, 6 months later, standing at the edge of the newly painted paddock fence, he whispered the name with quiet reverence. "Whisper Hills." The sign above the barn said it clearly now, carved in cedar by Autumn's hand, sanded smooth by Lily's. Beneath the name, a place for healing. Horse and human alike. The old Vance property had become something new. A place where people who didn't believe in second chances came to see what one looked like. Willow stood in the center of it all, no longer limping, but not running either. She had earned her rest. Now she spent her days nuzzling anxious hands and standing still when silence was needed more than movement. Lily had taken to introducing her like royalty. "This is Willow," she'd say, resting her hand on the mare's soft muzzle. "She's not just brave. She's the reason we're all here." And people listened. They didn't just hear the words, they believed them. Autumn leaned against the fence beside Noah one warm evening, arms crossed, watching Lily help a shy boy adjust a saddle. "She's changed, hasn't she?" Autumn said. "You mean Lily?" Noah asked. "I meant Willow," Autumn replied, smiling. "But yeah, Lily too." Noah watched his daughter, hair wind-blown, laughter rising with the breeze. "I think we all did," he said. They were quiet for a moment, the kind of silence that feels like an answer. Autumn shifted. "So, I got something." She held out a small wooden box, palms open. Inside, resting on soft blue cloth, were two simple rings. Brushed silver, no gems, just initials etched inside. N+A. Noah blinked. "Are we proposing to each other now?" Autumn raised an eyebrow. "I'm just skipping the part where you pretend to be unsure." He chuckled, then grew serious. "Autumn, I never thought I'd have anything after Grace. Then, I didn't think I deserved anything after the war. But you, this place, you made me believe again." She reached out and took his hand. "Sunset tomorrow?" "Under the oak," he agreed. The ceremony was quiet, held with hay bales for pews and horses for witnesses. Lily wore a sunflower crown and held the rings on a pillow. Willow, brushed and glowing, stood between Noah and Autumn like a proud matron. There were no long vows, just words they meant. "I found hope when I thought I was hollow," Noah said. "You filled that space. And you reminded me I could still build something beautiful," Autumn replied. As they kissed, the barn bell rang, not for ceremony but because Tommy Rourke rang it from joy, and everyone clapped, even the horses. Or at least, that's what Lily claimed later. Life at Whisper Hills found rhythm. Noah taught the young ones how to saddle, and the older ones how to be gentle with themselves. Autumn organized therapy sessions, coordinated volunteers, secured grants. Tommy came around twice a week, teaching both humans and horses how to find balance again. Willow thrived. She greeted every new soul with patience, never rushing, never flinching. She stood in the paddock while veterans told stories they hadn't dared speak aloud in years. She listened when teenagers cried into her mane, or when small hands trembled at her side. Then, one soft morning, Noah noticed Willow hadn't come to the fence. He found her under the big oak tree, the same one they'd married beneath, lying on her side, head resting against the ground, eyes half-lidded but calm. He dropped to his knees beside her. "Hey, girl," he said gently. "You tired?" She blinked slowly. The air around her was still. Peaceful. The birds didn't sing. The wind didn't move. Lily arrived, barefoot, holding a blanket. "Is she?" she asked, her voice shaking. Noah nodded, tears brimming. Lily knelt and laid the blanket over Willow's body, then curled up beside her, as she had when they first brought her home. Autumn came next. She said nothing, just pressed her forehead to Willow's side. The mare let out one long, soft exhale, and she was gone. They buried her under the oak. Volunteers dug the earth in silence. Veterans saluted. Children tied ribbons to the low branches. Tommy made a wooden marker. Willow, she carried us home. Lily wrote a letter and placed it beneath the soil. She wasn't just a horse, she was our second chance. Thank you for giving us back everything we lost. Time moved forward, as it always does. Whisper Hills kept growing. More horses came, more people came. But in the barn, by the photo of Willow, was a small shelf filled with letters. New ones appeared every week. One day, a girl named Mariah came to visit, 11 years old. Foster, home number 6, quiet as a shadow. She didn't speak to anyone for 3 days. Then one morning, she stood in front of Willow's photo, reached out a trembling finger and whispered, "If she could do it, maybe I can too." Noah, standing nearby, didn't interrupt. He just smiled. Because that was Willow's legacy, not in trophies or ribbons, but in quiet moments of courage, passed from soul to soul. A whisper that said, "You are not broken. You are becoming." And for everyone who came through the gates of Whisper Hills, that was more than enough.